Hello everybody, welcome to Also Rusty Buckets. By the time you're watching this video, I am on a trip, so I am pre-recording a couple of videos for this channel that are not going to be post-game reactions, and this is one of the first two hot take videos that is in that pile. I'm also doing a video on Markkanen as well as the Brooklyn Nets, just some general basketball conversation stuff, but today is just a typical hot takes video, so let's just get right into it. Oh, also, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and drop a like, but yeah, let's get on with this. Zeke Nnaji is the most underrated rookie. The most underrated rookie is still Patrick Williams. Fight me on it. But Zeke Nnaji as well as Jaden McDaniels are both awesome players already. Zeke is a little less important to the Nuggets than McDaniels is to the Timberwolves. I actually think they're kind of in a similar vein, although Zeke seems like less of a defensive guy, but more solid as a three-point shooter, and he's just a good backup big man, and with them losing Mason Plumlee and now getting back a guy who can play the 5 who can shoot the ball, that's definitely nice to have, because even Plumlee, like, he couldn't really play him at all with Jokic, but Zeke can play power forward as well, so it's a nice addition for Denver. Zion Williamson, if he is healthy, will retire a top 10, possibly top 5 power forward of all time. If Zion plays a long, healthy career, he could retire a top 10 player of all time. So I don't even know I need to put the caveat of the position. Like, I'm pretty confident Zion will retire as a top 10 power forward of all time. I'm bordering on confident that he'll retire as a top 5 power forward of all time, just presuming that he is relatively healthy throughout his career. If injuries derail it, then sure, but like, how many other 19 or 20-year-olds were averaging 26 on 10% better than league average true shooting, as well as like 8 rebounds? Like, Zion's ridiculous. Wendell Carter Jr. has star potential in Orlando. Yeah, Wendell has been awesome in Orlando, and it's borderline depressing for me because while I'm happy to see Wendell play so good, and I'm happy to have been right about him, still need more games before like that's solidly the case, but he has looked very good in Orlando. It's going to be a little bit bittersweet to potentially be right about believing in Wendell for so long, but then for him to actually just not do it in Chicago, it's a little bit sad. But at the same time, still glad it's happening overall because I get to say that I was right about something. RJ Barrett is better than Ja Morant. Do it, Jacob. Become an RJ Barrett enthusiast. I know you can be. I think this is closer than some people will give it credit for, but no, I'm not taking RJ over Ja Morant simply because I think Ja has the it factor. I've said this before a couple of times, I believe. Ja Morant is probably the worst, least talented player that I've ever said has the it factor, and that's not a knock on Ja. I just typically, I'm really strict with a lot of things that I say about players. Like, I'm really strict about what I call a superstar, really strict about like all kinds of things like that, and one of them is saying a player has an it factor, and Ja has it, despite, to me, not even being a top 40 player in the league. So I'm sure Rudy is boiling behind his computer right now editing this, but it is what it is. If the Lakers beat the Nets, that makes LeBron the GOAT. This is an interesting conversation because I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, maybe. I said before with the last championship that he won, that championship does not really move the needle one way or the other for me with LeBron. Like, it doesn't really change any of my opinion about LeBron, and I don't think the Nets thing would be changing my opinion about LeBron either. It would really just probably be the case where if they are going to beat the Nets, LeBron has to have a finals like he did in 2016. And if he did something like that against a team that's definitely more stacked than the 2016 Warriors, especially with a depleted Steph, another finals series that's comparable to what 2016 was for LeBron, which, by the way, LeBron's 2016 was more impressive than any other finals that Michael Jordan had. Having 2 of those, that would be more impressive than any of the finals that MJ had. At that point, I might be leaning in the LeBron direction. Right now, I'm on the Michael direction, but at the same time, I don't think it's ludicrous to think LeBron's the GOAT right now either. I think it's relatively close, and maybe that would be what pushes the needle for me. I guess I just have to see in the moment, because right now I can't say solidly, like, for sure that'll be the case, but at the end of the day, it's still not like there's a huge difference between the two, and that would definitely make it even closer for people who are on the MJ side of things. You actually don't overrate Hayley Williams at all, and your simping for her is perfectly justified. I appreciate that, Pizza Bagels, because you're right. That woman has the voice of an angel. She has a great personality. She's hot. She's short. Oh man, Hayley Williams is beautiful. You're all sleeping on it, but it's okay. I'd rather be you know, the guy who has the restaurant that nobody knows about. Like, she's not one of those popular artists ever, but you know what I'm saying. Stay asleep. This season is exposing Steph as someone that needs everything right to win. Shut the fuck up. Almost every player needs almost everything right to win. How many times have teams won championships when they had some glaring big issue with the team? It almost never happens. Pretty much every championship team and their best player had a good core around them, and even really good winning teams, they'll have flaws, but the fucking Warriors this year have so many glaring issues. The Warriors without Steph on the floor are one of the 5 worst offenses of all time. Imagine having a top 5 bad offense in 2021. The year where there's like 5 teams about to set the record for offensive rating. The Warriors without Steph are worse than fucking 90s offenses or early 2000s offenses where defense was insane and there was zero spacing and teams putting up 80 was commonplace. Like, holy shit, dude. Like, even earlier eras where teams were shooting 40% as a collective, like, to have one of the 5 worst offenses of all time without Steph, and you want to give him shit for that? That's absolutely ridiculous. And the season is exposing Steph as someone that needs everything right to win. He is doing literally everything that he can, and it's not like he's doing that and it's like, oh, but he just doesn't have enough. No, he has enough to still make the Warriors a respectable team when they don't have respectable talent outside of him. It's really ridiculous to suggest anything otherwise to me, especially if you've watched the Warriors. Like, I feel like a lot of people who just haven't watched the Warriors are like, oh, look at Steph failing, but it's like, literally, what more can he do? Fuck off with that. In a few years, the Magic will have an all-time defense from the boy, not Zay. Yeah, I think it's possible because Wendell, you're gonna have fucking Mo Bamba. You get a healthy Jonathan Isaac. Chuma Okeke, I think, is a good defensive player. Markelle Fultz is a good defensive player. I think RJ Hampton has chops on that side. Like, they have some players that might be core pieces who are all fantastic defensive players. Like Wendell, Bamba, and Isaac together. Like, if they run a 3-man lineup of that, that's 2 like 7-foot guys with crazy length. Wendell is a little shorter, but he also has a 7-foot wingspan. That's 3 7-foot plus wingspans you're going to put on the floor. I'm pretty sure Mo Bamba has the largest wingspan in the league. He has like a 7'8" wingspan. So the amount of length you're going to be able to put on the court, it's incredible. So the Magic definitely can put together a ridiculous defense. I just don't know how the offense is going to look. It's BS that guys like Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker aren't even considered for MVP when putting up good numbers on the best teams in the league, but guys like Dame and Jokic, who are putting up great numbers on worser teams. It's not a word, my guy. Worse teams are front runners. I do understand this point of view. Really, the reason this happens is that, like, the way the MVP typically goes is you need the numbers, you need the wins, you need the narrative, or sometimes the narrative thing, especially this year, there really is no, like, narrative thing about this MVP. It really is just purely numbers and wins. And yeah, I agree to a degree that, like, players will put up the numbers on winning teams. Like Donovan Mitchell's putting up pretty damn good numbers on the best team in the league, and nobody's even considering him for MVP. And the reason for this is that people know he's not a superstar. That's pretty much it. Non-superstar players don't really win MVP, even if they have the numbers to do it. And the wins to do it. You're not really going to win that award if nobody considers you a superstar caliber player. And in the case of the Suns, especially because Devin Booker's not even the best player on the Suns this year. It's Chris Paul. I don't care what you tell me. And Donovan Mitchell isn't the best player on his team either, really. I mean, you could go back and forth between him and Rudy Gobert, but even if you want to make the argument now he has the numbers, but like you're not going to win the award without being the best player on your team, and clearly the best player on your team, even if Booker and Mitchell are, it's not by a large margin. Same reason why Steph and Durant were not winning any MVPs over that 3-year stretch they played together. So they have that going against them, and then also you're just not going to win the award if you're not a superstar caliber player, period. And most people who at least have the definition that I do, and I think my definition is what typically is like what is required to be an MVP level player. If you're not on that level, like a top 10 player around that ballpark, you're probably not going to win the award, even if you average 30 and your team wins 70 games. Like, it's just, it is what it is if people don't have that, if you don't have that reputation around you. Fair or not, that is what it is. If you say it's like ridiculous to not be considered, I guess that you deserve some credit, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to give an MVP to a guy who's not a superstar. I don't know if that's fair, but it's what my head says. So there you go. The margin between Ben Simmons and DeJounte Murray is minuscule. Yeah, and the margin between you and the least intelligent person in history is also minuscule, because that's a stupid fucking take. I don't know what Ben Simmons has done lately to make people dislike him so much. I know he's been trending on Twitter a bunch. I have not watched a lot of Sixers games where I'm noticing some bad trend, because Ben Simmons can be rather inconsistent, but like in general, Ben Simmons is one of the best defensive players in the league. DeJounte Murray is a good one, but he's not like probably the best defensive player in the league. Not the playmaker that Ben Simmons is, and scoring wise, I'm sure the difference isn't really that significant one way or the other. DeJounte actually shoots from time to time, which is nice, but absolutely not. The difference is minuscule. Ben Simmons is so fucking good and so often disrespected just because the guy can't shoot a jump shot and just because he's not as aggressive as he should be, and it absolutely infuriates me. So fuck that take. Yeah, that's it. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video. But as the end of this video, please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.